Awesome.
Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday to you. Hope you guys are having a great day, a wonderful week. I am Midnight Hatter, Steven, coming to you live, Midnight Hatter Live, the weekly variety show where we talk about Gunpla, we talk about video games, tabletop gaming, all sorts of good stuff like that. Joining me, as always, is the approachable Adam Blue. How are you doing, buddy?
Thank you. Approachable. I like that because I want to be approachable
Right.
in this life. You know, at any time anyone has a question about something, yeah, I want to be approachable.
Well, yeah,
Um,
that's being the host of Gundam Explained helps with that because you are, approachable, you are accessible. For those of you who don't know, Gundam Explained YouTube channel, links down in the description below. Adam puts on, I mean, probably one of the hardest working guys on YouTube right now because I don't see anyone that's putting out 3 weekly videos that
that's
aren't
right,
just
Casey Neistat. Eat your no.
coming for you. I'm coming for you in those stupid sunglasses. No,
Nice.
nobody's putting out consistent content like you are, you know, given the content that you put out. A lot of people obviously will stream every day and, they'll do like I'm a guy in front of a webcam and I'm going to talk to you about you know, what did Marvel do yesterday? Like I think that especially now, if you haven't checked out Adam's videos this week, then you are certainly missing out. If you loved Star Wars, why you're gonna love Gundam. Um, you've been covering Witch from Mercury, which has been awesome,
Yeah.
and then the physics, the science behind a new
Oh, yeah.
typery, which good stuff, man.
Yeah, and really it's just I get excited about this stuff and I'm wanting to learn about it. And so I just want to talk about it. And I think that's what's great about then being on this show because I'm getting into Gundam in 2019. There's still so much I need to learn, but Gunpla I think is the area as fun as it is. There's so many years of experience you have that I learn about from you. So this is a great supplement to myself for my material. So,
Hey,
no.
I'm the Mad Hatter. I'm the guy in the workshop. I am not a professional by any stretch of the imagination, but I like to experiment and as we're seeing it here in the chat, yes, people noticed that I even 3D printed my own clipper guards for
Yeah,
my hair
yeah,
clippers, and
that's
I had
right.
my ears lowered, whatever you want to call the old the old metaphor for cutting
For getting your hair
your own
cut.
hair. So I hope you guys on Instagram enjoyed that little reel that I put out there. Howdy to the chat. I
That was
see
good.
Zionic Shadow. Good evening, everyone. Ian, good to see you. Ultronymous, Trickovec, Goose is in the house as well. So
Nice.
yes, hashtag SD December starts tomorrow. If you're not down with Zeeg New
That's
York,
right.
I really do need to put the links to Zeeg New York and and the Gunpla Bastards Instagram in the description below. But check out on Instagram hashtag SD December starting tomorrow. We got some excellent builders building some super deformed high grade kits, and maybe make a little competition of it. Put a little put a little something down on this.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, today we're just going to be talking about a little Gunpla stuff that I've been working on this week. Hopefully, we can get the things squared out, round off these square pegs for tomorrow's Patreon rewards that I've got planned. Of course, as always, check out the links down in the description below. I've got, links to the Patreon and stuff for supporting the development of Gundam 5e, as well as some tabletop RPG resources. I'm really excited about that to share with you guys because I've developed what I'd like to call the ultimate conversion formula. So if you are a tabletop RPG player and you are thinking, hey, I want to convert something from D&D 5e to D&D 3.5, or I want to convert something from Resident Evil into like The Witcher or something like that. Basically, any game
Wow.
that you can think of that you want to convert a stat or a numerical value to another game system, this formula will do that for you automatically, which I think is really powerful. It's really fun. I've enjoyed kind of building out some of the experiments and the examples that I have featured in the package. So that's going to be live tomorrow. hopefully the stuff that we're working on tonight will be live tomorrow. If not, it'll probably just be another Gundam miniature, but you guys love that stuff anyway, right? Some 3D printed Gundam
Well,
miniatures.
yeah, to give you some pressure, have it done so by the time we do our live, you can we can let everyone know it's available.
Yeah, exactly right. And
No,
happy December to everyone. It'll be a Christmas miracle.
well, yeah, and better watch out. You know, who knows if we're going to start requesting you to actually add the 3D printed clipper STL or whatever random things we might ask of you. Yeah,
Yeah,
watch out, Steven.
I was honestly surprised at how well it worked. I found a model on Thingiverse that was for like a 1.5 inch 3D, or well, a 1.5 inch clipper guard. And I was like, well, if I just double that, then I can have a 3 inch clipper guard and I can cut my hair to the length that I want it to be. And so I did it, and
It worked.
it kind
Like,
of worked.
I mean, the first time, like, you didn't have to go back and get it to that. Like the first time.
No, first time through, and it
Wow.
worked. And honestly, this is the most astonishing thing, is that we actually lost power on Tuesday when I was printing this. And so about 5 hours and 15 minutes into the print, which it was like a 5 hour and 45 minute print, power went out for like 3 hours, and so the print was kind of ruined. And I'm surprised nobody
Wow.
on Instagram realized that the print was incomplete, because there's definitely like a sharp edge. If you haven't checked out that reel, links down in the comments below to my social accounts. But yeah, there's definitely a sharp edge where it's like, clearly this did not finish printing.
Oh, I didn't notice.
So
And
it's more of like a 2.75 inch cut. We'll take it.
but did you find like were you searching and you found like the model of your razor, or was there kind of a universal like way to attach it, or did you modify it?
I didn't have to modify the attachment at all. I just kind of lucked out on that, because honestly,
Wow.
there's so many models of clippers out there. My clippers were like $17 on Amazon, so they were bottom of the barrel. But if you've been following if you've been following the channel for a while, you know that I've been cutting my own hair for like 8 to 10 years. It's
Oh,
Yeah.
it's impressive. I actually started once COVID came around, and then, well, to be honest, I haven't cut it since January. But
Well, and
yeah,
see, you pull off the man bun so much better than I do. I tried it, and I was
I
like,
got it from you, man. I'm even there's a thing it's even falling off right now that's in the back. Like if I take this off and then
then it's
down,
just wild. Um,
it's I'll just do this.
there you go.
Hey, it's crazy Uncle Adam. That's what it looks like. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, you and I both have voluminous hair. So let's see. Zeonic Shadow says 3D printed some Zeeg New York display stands. That's pretty sweet. I would love to see those.
Ooh.
Ultronum says, wouldn't have guessed that you did it yourself. Well, that's,
Yeah, it is
I'm
good.
Julia Fox over here. I did it myself. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you literally 3D printed the tools yourself to do it yourself. Like, how much can you cut your hair yourself than that?
Exactly. I'll 3D print some scissors next week, and we'll see how that goes. Um, so as I mentioned earlier, we are going to look at some of the test fitting for the most recent 3D printed parts that I've been working on. Sometimes I catch myself, I'm like, I've been working on all these projects and I haven't followed up on 3 or 4 or 5 or all of them on on YouTube or Instagram or even Discord. And so I wanted to show off the latest build of our 3D printed resin conversion kit from a Char's Zaku 2 to a high grade, or well, a high mobility ground type Zaku, basically going for that Vincent Gleisner custom from Gundam Side Stories. And I think we are almost there. I'm going to be honest with you. This is looking pretty good. There are a couple things that failed on this particular print, and I will call them out as we are showing this off. So I'm actually going to load that screen up now. We're going to take a look at what I've got here on the table, on the chopping block. I think that this is looking pretty good, consider all things considered.
Yeah.
So we've got, I hadn't originally planned on 3D printing the breastplates on the side of the Zaku, but I did enjoy the articulation that we got from that Char's Revive Zaku, where you can actually kind of angle that shoulder joint in. So I was
Yeah,
like,
to kind of dual wield or
yeah,
two hand
right,
sword or
yeah,
something.
you get that kind of extra bend. It's a little bit of extra flexibility. Honestly, I think that this part turned out fairly decently.
Yeah,
Um,
love that range. I mean, that
oh
reminds
yeah.
me more of an action figure compared to a Gunpla, which I personally prefer.
Right, yeah. So being someone who enjoys the old Robot Damashi or Robot Spirits line, this should look pretty familiar, that level of double jointed articulation, right?
And that is sick. That is well done. Oh,
So the chest piece, this centerpiece has always worked out fine. Honestly, the only things that I've done differently with this is I've taken in the sides a little bit to kind of give the chin a little bit more room to nod the head around a little bit. But the pipe has always fit in there perfectly, and now these new chest guards or breast guards kind of wrap around it perfectly to where they lock into place around the outside, which looks good. Um, I even created some cutaways on the underside of the breastplates so that they make room for the waist, which I have it nearby. I have the original. Oh, that one's gone. Here is
um,
the. Oh, sorry.
no, I was gonna ask, like, have you, with what you got so far, shared that with any 3D printing communities or any other Gunpla customizers?
I have not actually. I've been sharing the for over on Thingiverse. I've actually been
Oh, okay.
posting some of the older 3D prints of Gunpla, or well, not Gunpla, but the miniatures that I've sculpted and posed. I've been posting those over on Thingiverse just to kind of show off the kind of work that I've been doing. But I haven't posted any of the Gunpla yet, simply because um I just don't think it's there yet. I think that there's definitely some stuff lacking, and there's definitely
It's
some
cool though.
better 3D modelers on Twitter that I've found of Gunpla parts than what I'm doing here. But I think what I'm doing here is a little bit different because what I'm really trying to achieve is that turnkey. I don't want to create a resin conversion kit that people are going to have to do a lot of extra work to make it work. I want them to be able to just take it out of the box, plug it onto their kit, and then it's good to go. Um, so that's kind of the with that mission in mind. That's why I'm going through so many iterations. That, and I'm actually terrible at my job.
You keep saying that, but I'm constantly blown away. And look, you cut your own hair with the own tools you made.
Hey, we all
Do you go when you go to a hairstylist? Are they using tools they made?
what do they say? It's a poor craftsman that blames his tools for. Well,
There you go.
the poorest craftsman blames the tools that they made themselves.
Yeah.
um, so honestly, the shield has always been the easiest part because that has just been a peg that can fit in that peg joint.
Oh.
Oh, hey, I hear a subscription. I don't know if it showed up on
Oh.
screen, but hey, thank you for the sub over on Twitter or on
Yeah.
Twitch. Actually, but yes, thank you for the sub.
Congratulations for your good life choices.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Indeed. You've joined a small yet elite club.
Yeah.
Um Now the other thing that I am pretty proud of when it comes to this kit, and this again is gonna take a little bit of work, but we have our backpack, which now fits perfectly over the existing backpack. The Revive Char Zaku kit has this two-part backpack where it's like one backpack sits on top of the other. And what I managed to do was create these little hooks that kind of go over the pipes and cover up the hole. Oh, I guess I'll have to top it off here. They cover up the hole in which the pipe comes out of. So I do need to go back in and sculpt these little clips so that they're a little larger and they cover up more of that pipe. But now they actually fit in over the pipe and cover up the exposed hole when the backpack is plugged on, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah, man. Well done. Dang.
And we even have some slits in there for the thrusters. The thrusters are actually across the room over in the Zaku box, so we don't have the thrusters to put in place yet, but the slits do exist, and it's a pretty simple plug, so that's all good. And then since the second iteration, the pauldron has always been solid. The pauldron's fantastic. Fits on the existing ball joint, no problem. Posable. We're in good shape there. So just a few things that I'd like to clean up. We do need to clean up the inside of these breastplates because they kind of rub up against the waist, which makes it so that they don't sit flat the way that I'd like them to. And I think that a lot of that might come from just reducing the thickness of the plate armor. So hopefully that'll go the way that we want it to. The backpack, obviously, I mentioned, expanding the size of those cover plates that go over the piping. But aside from that, I lost the shield here. I might give up on the developing a new shoulder joint because unfortunately I have not been able to develop a shoulder joint that replaces the existing one, even though it's a minor change. It's just that one of the corners is a cutaway instead of being a solid square. I just think that this one is much more functional than anything that I've been able to put together so far. Even with the in the latest iteration, I designed it in such a way that it actually clips into the forearm joint. So I might hear the snap. There it is. So yeah, this latest iteration
Cool.
actually snaps into the existing forearm joint and will lock into place, which gives it enhanced posability, I would say. But
Yeah. I bet hearing the fact that you made something you can hear that snap.
so satisfying.
Oh, and Ian in the chat, I guess he did that subscription, and then what's up to Brian Zanichelli? Or did the
Oh,
follow,
hey,
and then
cheers, Brian. Good to see you. Let's see. So, I'm trying to catch up with the chat. Speaking of side stories, I'm editing my arse off with the All the Games MS video for it. Side Stories is a fantastic game, probably the second best PS3 Gundam game in existence. I prefer the combat in Battlefield Record 0081. I think I've probably said that on stream before, but fantastic game and has some excellent DLC.
yeah,
Zionic
it's just
Shadow.
great for just playing a game where you don't really have to focus on tactical nature.
Yeah, exactly right. Zionic Shadow says thinks it looks great, like it. Hey, thanks, buddy. I appreciate that, Richie. Would be easy if
Gundam
I
Wing,
didn't. I'm sorry.
to see you.
Hey,
Oh no,
Gundam
Gundam
Wing.
Wing
Hey,
in the chat
cheers. Good
too.
to see you. Looks great so far. Appreciate it. Yep. Trikovic says Sankey has better combat. Brian Zanichelli, I think I said hey already, and Ian says, thanks, Adam. I do love being a part of the Elite Hatter Squad. I don't know how elite we are, but,
What's elite? It's professional.
right. Yeah.
Professional. Even though you say you're not professional, you are. But wait, let me ask you, what was the name of this Gleisner
Vincent
pilot?
Gleisner.
Where have we seen him? What media?
Ironically, from Gundam Side Stories.
Is he so it's on the Xeon campaign?
Yeah, so Vincent Gleisner is a Xeon pilot. He's part of the Marcosius crew,
Ah,
and he serves under Doug Schneid during the
okay.
1 Year War.
All coming
And
back to me.
post 1 Year War, he actually ends up kind of going into hiding, becoming a Xeon remnant, and then he and the new type pilot Chloe Croce join Neo Xeon. They join Char's Neo Xeon. Vincent Gleisner himself ends up piloting a customized blue Gyaradoga, which is super sweet looking, while Chloe Croce, of course, goes on to pilot the Totus Ritter. So, um,
Yeah, yeah, that's coming back to me because I think, yeah, I never played the Xeon campaign of that game, but they had that in SD Gundam of them. One of those games, one of the
they
SD
definitely had
Gundam.
it in G Generation Genesis. I don't know if it was
That's
in. Oh, that was the one. Yeah,
yeah, that was it. Yeah.
yeah, he's definitely one of the top Xeon pilots, Xeonic Shadow. And his dad, of course, Travis Kirkland, is one of the top
Oh
Federation
yeah.
pilots. Well, Federation. He's part of the Slave Wraith crew. He pilots the Slave
Right.
Wraith Gundam, which is kind of an offshoot of the EZ-8. Um, and then he eventually is the one that pilots the Zeta 2, which, everyone knows how much I love the Zeta.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. I'm gonna have to do a video on this lore. I'm gonna have to play the game some more too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that should be a part of our coordination. Is maybe we should team up,
Oh,
and like on Wednesday I'll cover a Gunpla, and on Thursday on the podcast we'll talk about the pilot of said Gunpla. I don't
dude, excellent idea.
know.
Excellent idea.
well,
Oh,
well,
guys, tomorrow it's
yeah.
Lesnar, dude. Vincent,
a-
we go.
Again, links down in the description. Uh, Go ahead and subscribe to Gundam Explained, because tomorrow, of course, we have our weekly podcast. I missed last week. I missed the Thanksgiving podcast, which I'm ashamed to say.
Oh no. No problem because yeah, I mean I didn't even do it live. It was just a quick recording. I think it was only 30 minutes too. It was really just me saying thanks to everyone. I hope I didn't forget you. I don't think I did. Of
I
course.
appreciate
Could I ever?
it. um, so the final part of the Zaku, which I think has probably been the most important part, has been the legs, because of course we've got our high mobility legs with the thruster on the side. These are still designed in two parts, despite the fact that my good buddy Tony mentioned that if I really want this to work, I should design it in three parts and have a left side, a right side, and then this front plate should be its own piece that clips onto the front. I wasn't sure exactly how to achieve that front clip, and so I may or may not do that tonight while I'm working on the final draft. But I have to say that this is the best that the seam line has ever looked on the backside. And one of the things I should mention is that when I do finally release this as a 3D print file, I do also want to release the Chitu box sliced file so that people know exactly how many layers it is, what angle we're printing at,
Oh,
and like what the exposure time per angle, or per layer, I should say. Because this particular one, I actually printed upside down instead of right side up for once, and obviously the results are fantastic. The lines meet up perfectly down the back. The front is a little wonky still, just because of the plug that I have on the front side. It's it's just a little chunky, and it doesn't quite fit into the hole that I've drilled into that side. I think that I could probably get away with just making it a wider hole, and you know, we'd plug it in and be ready to go. But I'm satisfied with the placement of it. Obviously, it's a little bit forward, because you would want that divot to be where the knee is. So we'll probably move the peg holes. Let's see. Where's my handy dandy micrometer here?
oh yeah.
So we'll probably want to move the peg holes at least 2 millimeters, at least 2.1 millimeters forward, in order to kind of get that divot to match up with the knee joint. But aside from that, I'm pretty happy with how this looks, and it fits
Oh,
perfectly with
man.
the peg holes on the leg. We have full mobility of the leg.
Wow. Was there any point in this process where you were like, man, this is too tough? I mean, there's so many iterations you have to go through.
Yeah, I mean, when I first started, I said, "Screw this! I don't want to do this anymore."
Well,
um,
um,
no,
you're going through the iterations. Were there some things that you were like, "There's no way," and then eventually it worked out?
Yeah, and it's interesting because obviously I've got some of our earlier prototypes. This is probably version 4 that we're working from right now.
Ah, okay.
And
Sure.
you know, so this would be the difference between version 3 and version 4. And version 3 was not terrible, except that the backside did not meet up exactly the way I wanted it to. Um, Now, this one, the difference is that it was 3D printed flat in such a way that, the entire bottom was flat against the build plate and it kind of raised and lowered and printed this way. So I got great details on the thruster, but the fit was not quite where we wanted it to be. Some of the older versions that we had, let's see, this was the V1 version, which actually fit perfectly on the peg holes, but unfortunately was raised up so high that it did not give the ankle any room to move. So we had to kind of move the
Mm.
peg holes down in order to enhance that ankle articulation. And that's really been the difficulty with this, because obviously getting the parts to fit, again, I've been able to go in with a chisel, with a hobby knife, and get the parts to fit and work well since the beginning. The difficult
Yeah, you
part
just
is making them work out of the box and making them work straight off the printer. I don't want to have to do any alterations or any tweaking to make it work.
oh, that's awesome because you gotta admit, like, when it comes to making custom stuff like this that you can share with people, like, the time you're taking to actually make sure it's right. Like, there's some people that probably have great ideas, but, like, sometimes it's just so hard. Like, I just think of when I'm working on stuff, even videos sometimes, I'm just like, "Okay, this is not working, I'm done." Kudos to you, man, to keep that up. Especially I mean, could you even I wonder if you have the history on your printer and it can, like, add up the hours. You could literally add up the hours it took you to make this final creation.
I don't know if I would count the hours that it was actually on the printer, because obviously, I was free to do other things. But
That's
the
true,
the
that's
hours
true.
that I've put into Blender modeling and sculpting, we're probably
Oh,
looking
yeah.
at, 8 or 9 so far, um, total. But I don't
Hmm.
think that there is a price that you can put on getting it right and making it perfect.
It's the happiness that people get from a nice product, It's cool.
um, so let's see. Zanichelli says, "Great idea." Hey, thank you. I'm not sure which idea it was, but
It was the,
Ultronimus says probably the coordination,
yeah, exactly.
because Ultronimus
Yeah,
says,
it's a great
"Thank you."
idea.
That sound, or that the coordination sounds dope. Thank you. I appreciate that. Gundam Wing says, "I'd be down for that." Kirkovec says, 100% of the game recently, side stories. If you need a hand with it, just ping me on the server. So,
Good to
and
know.
we've had the Shirt Lad on the channel before. He is
Oh,
the Gundam gaming guru. So, of course,
right.
if you do need help with any Gundam video games, hop onto the Midnight Hatter Discord server and go ahead and ping him, because he's got them all.
Yeah, and the content too that he covers on his channel.
Goose asks, "What are you thankful for, Steven and Adam? You did forget." So apparently, Adam, you did forget. What am I thankful for? Well, you know, obviously the standard mushy things. I'm thankful for my family. I'm thankful for my daughter for putting me in my place, reminding me what a lowly servant I am on the totem pole of life. But I'm thankful for you guys. I'm thankful for you guys for tuning in, for being a part of this. You know how much I hate the word community. I hate fandoms. I hate that kind of mentality around the stuff that we do. But let me put it this way: thank you guys for being my friend, because
Yeah,
that's what it comes
a
down
good
to.
one.
Is I'm not big on community. I'm not big on fandoms. I'm not big on this like weird cultish vibe that you get on the internet. I thank you guys who tune into these streams, who hang out with us and talk Gunpla and talk video games and talk tabletop games. I thank you guys for being my friends, because that's what I consider you. And That's
Dude, yeah, I love how you describe that because it is at friends more than yeah, community. Community is cool, but there is that element of elitism sometimes, the cultish nature of it, where that can push people away. So yeah, friends. That's the best way to put it. Yeah, exactly.
yeah. So yeah, I think that what I'll probably start doing is we're gonna call this like the Friends of Hatter server, the Friends of Gunpla server, because we're all just friends.
Yeah, no, that's great.
um, Zionic says, "Thanks for shouting me, Eddie." Oh, absolutely, dude. I need to hop on. I don't have the link in the description, but again, go check out Zeonic Shadow. Go check out the Zeeg New York shop. I'm gonna cop me one of those tank tops because it's starting to get hot down here in the basement. I need something to I want one of those Zeeg New York tank tops. So I'm
Yeah,
gonna
that
I'm
is a
gonna
good
get on
idea.
that.
I think it's a great one.
Um, Brian says, currently watching Reconquista Rec G Reco. Yes, episode 10. Let me know what you think of that. I'm interested in your perspective because, I have mixed feelings about G Reco. I'm sure a lot of
Do you
people
watch it?
do. I couldn't get into it, honestly. I didn't even get
Hmm.
into episode 10. I made to episode 3.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. That's one I haven't watched. I mean, it's crazy to think there's a few I haven't watched yet, and I just can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah. Well, and again, I think that that's part of the appeal of the Gundam Explained YouTube channel is that you're not someone who is talking down to an audience that's saying, this is how Gundam is. You are someone who's experiencing Gundam alongside of everyone, and that is fantastic.
Because I
Hey,
see how cool it is, and I want to get more people into it. So it's more like I love how much things around me I get to see all the time that I love and that I like. Like I like that I can go into Target. I know they have Gundam there, but they also have like Ash from Evil Dead. They have a plushie of him I could get. They have different types of action figures of Ash from Evil, and it's like wow, like,
isn't that
and
wild?
so yeah, and it's cool that Gundam stuff's there too. So I like to have the stuff like, so if I can get the word out there for Gundam, that's and I think it's mainly for when like I like they did like when Cuckoo's Doan's Island came out. It would have been great if it had some sort of worldwide release in US with the dub already.
Yep.
No, but we're not there yet. I'm hoping eventually we can.
I mean, you know, the success of releasing, I think, Char's Counterattack came out in the US as like kind of a limited release. It was one of those Fathom events a few years back, so that was pretty cool.
2019.
Um, you know, the more you get into that sort of core, you see OG Gundam fan base, the more you're going to see the West light up. And I think that that was the big misstep with Kukuru's Doan's Island is that if that had been simulcast or even just well, like you said, if it were a dub release or even just simulcast to the US, oh man, people
Yeah,
would
you know,
have gone nuts. You would have seen like, the lines outside the movie theater, maybe not as long as Star Wars, but Star Wars style.
people would be talking about it more online because it has that Disney quality to it in terms of where it has kind of this like a very tight storyline that is throughout it. And there's never a part where even if you do see violence or death, it's not gratuitous, but it still it's funny how it exists within UC when we get things in UC that are very dark, but it can still have that tone, but it can still be for kids. Yeah, that's what's really interesting about Cuckoo's Stones Island. Did a
Yeah,
good job of that.
it was a fantastic adaptation of that episode because I think that episode probably did not get the care that it deserved when it was originally created, and I think Yoshikazu Yasuhiko has even said as much. When the movie trilogy was greenlit, he mentioned specifically that he wanted to go back and fix certain things about the series when it had come out, and I think that was one of the things that he wishes that he had done differently as being an animation director. Obviously, Tomino has his own vision for the series, but
Yeah.
don't discount the other directors and the other creators that were part of that team, because I think that they contributed a lot to what made Gundam a success in the first place. And there's a very good reason that nothing has quite hit that same height as the original series and Zeta and Char's counterattack.
That's very interesting, and yeah, it's those things where you think of Tomino as like George Lucas, but really when the Pocket came out, stuff after that, it was still hitting those UC things, you know.
Hmm.
It's very well done. Yeah. Um. Okay. Spanking Goose is saying if Gundam was released in theaters in the U.S., there would be Star Wars prequel length lines.
Yeah.
No, I wonder. Well, nowadays, would there really be lines? Now that you can buy your ticket online and just show up.
When's it
But
hitting
I guess,
Netflix?
yeah. But that's the thing. Like, I wonder the one barrier that I still think about all the time, and I had mentioned it in a previous video, is thing about Gundam is it's anime. There are so many people that will watch any live action movie depending on the property, but if they see something as an anime, they'll just not watch it. They'll be like,
Right.
"Ah, that's an anime." I mean, like my dad would love Gundam, but because he sees it as an anime, he doesn't care. Like,
Right.
and oh man, I'm glad, and I think it was meditation that helped me get over that. 'Cause in the past, before I meditated, I did not even touch anime, and afterwards, so oh,
Yeah, I'm very selective about the anime that I consume. And
sure,
Adam, you
yeah.
and I have talked about this. I'm not big on like isekais. I'm not big on waifus. I'm not big on anything that has a high school storyline, which is one of the reasons that Witch from Mercury was like kind of I don't know. I'm gonna give it a
Yeah.
chance because it's still Gundam, but
You know what?
there's
You
this
bring
like
up a good
weird
point.
I'm this 15-year-old nobody. How am I gonna stop the Dark Lord? Um,
But that's really good because it's like anime itself is a genre that has these tropes that are normally like within it. So while
yeah,
Gundam doesn't necessarily have those tropes, like you see Gundam, um, I don't have that much experience with the tropes. So seeing Coletta and whoever in high school, like I'm not even like thinking about that. That's very interesting. Yeah.
and that's
Oh,
that's part of what makes you and I such a dynamic duo when we're talking about these things, because it's
no.
like it really is like what's the old metaphor about like the five wise men that are viewing an elephant from different angles and they all have different
Oh, that's right.
ideas. You know exactly what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
the
It's like, oh,
tail, the trunk.
right,
Yeah.
this is a snake. No, this is a yeah. Um,
Yeah.
so I love that we can come to these different properties with different uh I don't want to say
Oh, and
biases, but different,
Tronomus is
interpretations.
saying, "Oh, Dan Vince is in here. Hey, Dan."
Hey, good
Been
to see you,
posting
buddy.
recently. No, but it's funny because Ultronomus was saying like 99% of waifus are terrible, but you know what? That's another trope I was never into until now. Is a waifu. Yeah. I'll probably get over that quickly, but that's funny.
Well,
Um,
sweet. Well, before we close out, I do want to share one last little Gunpla tip trick. Maybe it's just a little strategy that I've kind of worked on over the years that I've
Pro
developed.
tip.
Yeah,
It's a
pro
pro
tip.
tip. You can say it.
Gamer
You're a
mode.
professional.
So I posted this on both Discord and Instagram some time ago. This is a 1 to 144th scale building. Real
Oh, I
interesting
saw
stuff.
that.
Obviously, we've got some painted bricks down at the bottom. We've got some weathering applied to it. Um, yeah, when you can't paint Gunpla, practice on buildings, because buildings are going to treat you a lot better than Gunpla will. um,
Yeah, I want to thank you for because when you posted that, I have the same building. The treatment you did on it made me go, "Oh man, I can do that." See, it's like these little things that you see someone else create, and then it's like, "Whoa!" So yeah, that is sick.
so that said, what I've got handy here are this set of pastels. I think that they were probably like $5 or $6 on Amazon. It's just a set of cheap pastel crayons. We've got a wide variety of colors. We do not need this many colors, to be honest with you, but it's nice to have them. You know, nice to have it
Is
and
that
not need it.
you use that to color the building?
Exactly.
Wow.
So
Wait, so why pastel? Does pastel have a property to it that makes it good for stuff like that?
it's kind of oily. It doesn't rub off as easily as, say, like, crayon or other,
Oh,
other
wow.
kind of uh,
Color application.
powders or pigments would. And it's not paint, so you can kind of work with it after it's been applied. With paint, if you make a paint stroke, once that stroke is applied, you really can't do much with it aside from strip it off and then repaint it. With the pastels, you can kind of blend them a little bit, which gives it a really unique quality.
Yeah.
um, Now there are some other techniques that I would mention, honorable mention. Oh, wait, this is not the full one. I've got the full one in my pocket on the hoodie here. So
True
here I
pro.
have
Always
a
have your tools.
watercolor color pencil. This is also another neat weathering technique. Is a
Oh,
watercolor coloring pencil and a paintbrush that has water in it. I've used this for a lot of like little minor weathering, but I think that where I find it's most impressive is in panel lining. Um, so for instance, if I were to just go in on this building that I've been working on and let's just apply a little bit of this watercolor pencil to this window, just enough that we've got, some of the pigment powder on there. And then this here is a watercolor paintbrush that actually contains like probably about an ounce of water in it. It's not a particularly fine tip, but it is, tapered. And what we just do is we go in there and pull that ink out of the pigment, and we kind of get that drip effect going on, which is perfect for like a grimy, grungy cityscape where you want like, you know, a little bit of that, going on.
what is that tool called again? You said it was a watercolor pencil?
Yeah, it's a watercolor activated a colored pencil that is watercolor activated. This is a Fantasia brand watercolor pencil, but I'm sure that there are plenty of other options available. But again, I'm all about finding inexpensive and unique ways to use art tools for Gunpla, and this is one of those ones that I think really works well. You could go out and you could buy the Tamiya Weathering Master sets, which are basically little makeup palettes that come in, dirt colors, and you could do that. Or you could use, a $6 pastel set and some watercolor brushes, um, which
Yeah. I love it.
gives me the opportunity to shill this a little bit. This is just a pack of 10 blending sponges that I picked up at Walgreens. This was $2. With this, we can do, basically the same treatment that I did to this. I've got another building here. We're going to go ahead and just weather one of the corners, and I'm going to show you exactly what we do in order to get that effect. Because, I think it's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
the nice thing about this particular, oh, go ahead.
I'm definitely gonna be getting some more of these buildings now
Oh
and,
yeah. And
painting them like
these
this.
buildings are a great way to practice weathering a gunpla without damaging a gunpla that you care about. Obviously, these buildings are a little bit cheaper, just like some flat pack, ready-made buildings. These little blending sponges, they're primarily used for makeup. We're just using them for gunpla. And the best part
Like
about
most tools.
yeah, most tools. The best part about having this full pastel set is that you can use it in different ways. So, like for instance, if you've got a kit that is like a winter type, like you want to apply some snow weathering, you pull out your white pastel. If you've got some kit that you want to apply some rust weathering to, then you would pull out your, rusty orange red pastel. In this case, for this particular building, we're going to go with what I call this kind of greenish gray brown color pastel. And all we do is we go in here with our makeup brush. We get enough of that pigment onto the blending brush and just go in there and start rubbing it onto the corners.
Oh,
Get a little
it's
bit more on
fun.
there.
I'm seeing a craft day in my future.
Oh yeah. Get the kids together. Hey,
Oh
let's
yeah,
go make some buildings
that's
dirty.
that's exactly how I can get my whole city built. I'll have the kids start weathering buildings. Oh, there we go.
Can't even tell if this is coming on there the way that I like it to or not. I have a brush that I normally use. Obviously, it has seen some better days as far as its coloring has gone. Um,
Oh yeah.
this one I use primarily for black weathering, but I think that comes off pretty gray. Final product.
Is oh hey Lucas Garrett in the chat. Good to see you.
Oh, hey, what's up, Lucas? Good to see you in chat here. Um, so I mean, even using just my old brush, we're starting to see a little bit of that burnishing going on the corner of the building. And this is what I like about it is that it's a gradual applied effect. It's not something that, especially for someone like me who screws up so frequently. It's nice
Yeah,
to
it's
have
not
an
like highly saturated, and then you really have to go back and fix it. It seems like it allows it's like a gradient effect. You can
exactly.
slowly work that. Yeah,
So
love it.
this has been my, you know, sort of hobby of the week has been I've got several buildings that I've been kind of tinkering with and doing some minor weathering to, and all of them I've been just pastels with some makeup sponges and been working out really nicely.
Yeah, I love the rooftops too. It that just adds to it. If you color it just right, because technically, if you have your models set up, you're going to see a lot of the rooftops themselves. So
Right,
that's
yeah.
probably important to kind of pull that off. Yeah.
So so yeah, that is definitely the project right now is to put together a little bit of a diorama set that I can be proud of I plan on doing some more posing and some more
Oh,
photography. Hopefully you guys will enjoy posting it on the
yeah.
Instagram. I'm not very active on Instagram most of the time, so I'm trying to get more active so that I can participate a little bit more with the Zeeg New York crew and get some of this show off some of these works that I've been building because otherwise they're just back here.
Yeah, you know what? It's weird. I also spend less time on Instagram. The last time I was on for the longest was yeah the live stream Sig New York had.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I really want to get into it more. I don't know.
absolutely. I think that would be it's a great platform to show off these types of works that we do in the for Gunpla builds and things like that. So
You know what? And you just brought up a good point too, because like that's a good way to share things, and you really don't have to worry about as much really like toxicity or political talk. Because on Instagram, people are just wanting to share a photo of something. It's
right.
not really trying to make an opinion of some news. And that's the thing. I try to go on Twitter to share things, and then I get caught up in stuff, and I'm like, no, no.
Yeah, it's tough sometimes to dodge the pervasive culture wars that seem to dominate our hobbies, which is unfortunate because and again, this is one of the reasons that I'm not a big fan of communities and fandoms is that they tend to become cliquish and political, whereas I think that hobbies in and of themselves are supposed to be sort of creative outlets. And like,
Yeah.
if I'm worried about showing off a picture of my plastic model kit because I'm worried that, somebody's going to think that I'm, I don't know, trying to convey some subliminal message.
Yeah,
uh,
hidden message or something. Yeah.
right. Like, you
Like,
know,
wait a minute, are you anti-war or are you this or that? Like, yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I think that Instagram is definitely better for that. And I think that that's one of the
Yeah.
reasons that the Gunpla Bastards do what they do, right?
Yeah,
Is
perfect because they're fun. They can be hilarious, say stuff that I don't even say, but it's never rude, it's never toxic, it's always fun. That's yeah,
yeah.
truth. Yep.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons that I started doing what I do is that I wanted to show off the things that I work on, the various hobby channels um that I participate in, that some of them I'm decent at, some of them not so great, but I feel like I bring something to the table that a lot of people don't, which
Yeah.
is that element of creative spark um that I think is
Yeah.
lacking. So,
I've seen you put what is the term? Pen to paper, mind to matter of these neat ideas that to me it's like, oh, I'd love to do this. I don't ever really get around and then I see you just like nailing it. So
my goal is to give
inspirational.
everyone in the chat the courage to fail.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Because honestly, that's really what it comes down to. Is my biggest hurdle has always been, well, what if I'm not good at it, and what if I screw up, and what if it's not what I want it to be? And I think that
Oh
one of the
yeah.
reasons that I even started a YouTube channel was that I was like, if I screw up, it's in public. Like, I can't take it back. It's
And I was thinking that when I was starting this, or my Gundam channel, and how like I'm a guy that's just getting into Gundam, and I know how fan bases can be. Man, everyone's been cool. So that's I
exactly
guess
right.
that's what kept me without getting bored of it. It's like, am I oversaturated with Gundam? No, no. Everyone's cool. Everyone's my friend.
Yeah, exactly. We're all friends here.
Yep.
So, yeah, with that said, that's all I've really got for this evening. I wish that I had more to share with you guys because, obviously, we
Oh,
have a lot of things
that
in
was
the
good though.
hopper. I've got a lot of projects that I am committing time to, but with the holiday season being what it is, it's been a little crazy this week. Hopefully, things next week will be a little calmer and I can buckle down and focus on some of these exciting projects that we've had in the works. I think Goose has mentioned in the chat that we've got some things coming up soon between the two of us that should be interesting to watch. Let's see. What have you guys said? It's the reason I avoid social media. Partisan hacks everywhere. Nonsense too. Yes, agreed. Trickovec. Ultronoma says that does seem more burdensome than fun. Agreed. Lucas Garrett, Gunpla is freedom. It sure is. Except when you're trying to apply stickers and you're shaking. um, Shirt Lad says, when's your next Sith post, Adam?
Oh. Yeah, I loved it. Yeah, so there was some chat on Gundam Explained with music and stuff, and so I posted some of these Star Wars black metal mashups, and
Awesome.
posting them made me so happy. I was like, man, maybe I should make some more of these. There's just something about black metal and the Sith. It just works. Works.
Absolutely. Um, yeah, we need to do some Sith talk. Maybe some Sith talking.
Yeah. Okay, I'm down.
That'd be an interesting
I'm down to talk some Sith.
topic. But yeah, like I said, that's what I've got this evening. Hopefully, you guys have enjoyed, watching my continual Gunpla failure. But I think that we're making some progress here. I think that this is going to be a product that I'm going to enjoy for one, and hopefully, you guys will get some benefit out of as well. As usual, tomorrow night, 8:30 p.m. 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Central. Gundam Explained
Yep.
podcast. Can you give us a little sneak peek about what we're going to be talking about?
Yeah, man, we're gonna talk about Vincent, your favorite pilot. But no, just some other stuff too. Also, little. We're not gonna dwell on it too long, but how I got banned the Star Wars subreddit. So it's not as dramatic as it seems at the end, though. I want to talk about how it's really showed me how the Gundam community is actually pretty cool when it comes to communities, more so than I thought. Even though there's always toxicity everywhere.
Yeah,
We'll talk about that.
you never know when you're gonna find it, and I'm sorry to say that that I've had those similar experiences, across the old interwebs. But yeah, that'll be a fun topic to unpack,
Yeah.
and I'm looking forward to it. For all of you guys watching, for those in the chat, thanks for keeping it lively. Thanks for keeping it civil as always. With that, like I said, we're friends. We don't we don't we don't do toxicity in the chat like other people do. But no, seriously, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out while we talk about these things, and hope you guys have a great evening and a great rest of your week. We'll see you tomorrow evening for the Gundam Explained podcast, and until then, I will catch you all later. Adam, thank you as always for joining.
No problem. Thank you. Peace out, guys.
Later.